I remember that evening in the smallest details. I am 32 years old. I am standing in the middle of my new, perfectly renovated apartment with panoramic windows offering a stunning view of the night city. In my hand is a glass of expensive champagne, and on the table lies a signed contract for the CEO position, which I had been working toward for the last 10 years. It was the very moment I had visualized thousands of times. A moment of absolute triumph. The top of the mountain. But instead of euphoria, instead of tears of joy or even a simple feeling of satisfaction, I felt an icy, paralyzing terror squeeze my chest. I sank to the expensive oak floor, leaned my back against the perfectly straight wall, and for the first time in many years, I burst into tears. These were not tears of happiness. It was a real, deep panic attack. Because right at that second, looking at the city lights, I realized the most terrifying thing in my life. I had spent 10 years building a dream that didn't even belong to me. It all started back in university. I was ambitious, driven, and firmly believed in the formula society forces upon us. Work hard, get a prestigious profession, buy an expensive car, take out a mortgage on high-status housing, and then, somewhere out there at the finish line, you will automatically become happy. I made this formula my religion. My 20s passed like one long, continuous workday. While my friends were hitchhiking, falling in love, doing stupid things, and finding themselves, I was building a career. I was the first to arrive at the office and the last to leave. I took projects home for the weekend. I forgot about my loved ones' birthdays, missed family dinners, and my phone was never on silent mode. I'll rest later, I told myself. Once I get this promotion, then I'll start living. Every new step provided a short dose of dopamine. A new position, a week of pride. A new car, a month of satisfaction from how people looked at you at traffic lights. But this feeling quickly evaporated, leaving behind an even greater emptiness that I tried to fill with new goals. I turned my life into a perfect storefront. My social media was filled with photos from business lunches, expensive resorts, and perfect interiors. People wrote to me. "You are my idol, I want to live like you." And I believed I was doing everything right. After all, if everyone around me considers me successful, then it must be true, right? But the truth was that I was deeply, chronically unhappy. I couldn't fall asleep without sleeping pills. My stomach constantly hurt from stress and coffee. I couldn't remember the last time I read a non-business book or just walked in the park without headphones constantly mumbling some motivational podcast. I became a stranger to my own family and lost touch with myself. And here it was, the finale. The dream apartment, the dream job. I had achieved everything I planned. But sitting on that oak floor, I realized I was trapped. I had built a golden cage and locked it from the inside myself. I realized that this dream was assembled from my parents' expectations, beautiful Instagram pictures, and societal stereotypes. There wasn't a single millimeter of the real me in it. The next morning, I woke up with a heavy head. I put on my perfectly ironed suit, tied my tie, got into my prestigious car, and drove to the office. But something inside me had broken. Irreversibly. I looked at my colleagues, at these serious faces discussing quarterly reports as if the fate of humanity depended on them, and I felt like I was watching a theatrical play in which I no longer wanted to play the lead role. A week later, I wrote my letter of resignation. When I put it on the company owner's desk, he thought I was blackmailing him for a higher salary. When I explained that I was just walking away into nowhere, he looked at me like I was crazy. My parents were in shock. My friends twirled their fingers at their temples. "Are you out of your mind? You're at the very top. What are you going to do?" they asked. And for the first time in my life, I answered honestly. I have absolutely no idea. I sold that perfect apartment. It was too big, too cold, and reminded me of that evening of panic. I bought a small house outside the city, near the forest. It didn't have panoramic windows, but it had an old fireplace and a creaky wooden porch. The first months of my new life felt like withdrawal. My brain, accustomed to constant stress and deadlines, demanded action. I woke up at 6 in the morning with an anxious feeling that I was late for something. But there was nowhere to be late to. I was learning to live all over again. Learning to drink coffee while looking at the trees, not a laptop screen. Learning to listen to the silence. I remembered that as a kid, I loved messing around with plants. I started a small garden. I began growing vegetables, reading books about gardening, getting my hands dirty in the soil. Eventually, this grew into a small eco-farm. I started supplying fresh produce to local restaurants. My income dropped several times compared to my corporate career days. I no longer wear suits from famous brands, and I drive an old pickup truck. My social media storefront no longer looks like a Forbes magazine cover. But you know what? I have never slept so soundly in my life as I do now. Today, looking back at that most successful day of mine, I understand the main illusion of our time. We are sold the idea that success is how your life looks to others. It's status, numbers in an account, the applause of the crowd. But true success is how your life feels to you. It's waking up in the morning without anxiety. It's having time for the people you love. It's doing something that makes sense personally to you, even if to the rest of the world it looks like a step backward. Sometimes the greatest victory is finding the courage to give up someone else's dream to finally start living your own.